Hello and good afternoon, good evening, and in some places, hey man, good morning. Welcome to the new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and I'm still jazzed and pumped and filled with energy after last night's near 700 people, tuned in live for primetime gaming, but live on the air, folks. We hit 12,000 subscribers. Now, what was interesting and what is funny, and I guess I have to say this, a bit disappointing at times, is that we hit 12K, we closed the night down, we shut everything down at 12,006 subscribers, and you're like, wow, okay, we're starting to think of 13. I woke up this morning and 8 people unsubbed, bringing us up to 12K. So we are currently sitting at 11,998, which I guess people just don't like seeing other people succeed, but I laugh it up because you know what? It is to me, it is funny that you would really go out of your way to try and hurt someone's momentum, but you're not going to hurt me because, well, Mrs. Boomstick and I, we do this for the love of the community, the love of gaming, and we're going to continue to, push the envelope on what we do. But I am very honored, very, very proud today, folks, to be sitting down with Mav from Fun Speculation on YouTube, which, by the way, is only 27 subscribers away from 3K. So once we get everyone in here, I would humbly request that once I put the link into the chat, you head over there and you just hit the sub button because, like I said, folks, content creation is hard. You need to be dedicated. You need to be. Sometimes you don't even have time for games because you have to make time for family. You have to make time for preparing for the shows. And sometimes gaming gets hurt a little bit. I am going to say that you are going to see a ton of footage from season 3. I figured out exactly why it was glitching on my end. I was trying to run 4K footage on something that only plays 1080p, so I went back into the settings and I re-recorded all of it in 1080p, so that's why it looks sharp and it's running at 60 frames per second. But Mav, what's up, brother? I haven't had a chance to hang out with you in a minute. Obviously, you were very, very big part of the Xbox Factor podcast. And, like real life gets in the way, but I'm happy to be sitting down with you today. How are you, man?
Yeah, it's been too long, Boom. I can't be there as much as I've been in the past on Tuesdays, and it's been at least a few weeks, maybe a month or two since I've been able to be there because of work and stuff. But I saw the invite today. I had the time. It's working out too because it's a rainy day outside, so work is not being affected whatsoever, and get to talk one on one with the one and only Mr. Boomstick XL, or should I call him Mr. 12K, Mr. Merch, right?
Yeah, thank you,
Boom's
brother. I
getting all
appreciate it.
the amazing things going on with the channel, dude, and I'm super proud of you and everything you got going on here on
That's very kind of
and
you to say, brother. And I really am very grateful that not only are you here, but I'm very, very happy with the kind words.
yeah,
Like I said, content creation is difficult, but if you love what you do, it's really not like work. And
yeah.
anytime I'm working on the channel, and you know this because you quite enjoy what you do on your channel on Fun Speculation. Yeah, sure. Some days are tougher than others because you got a lot going on.
And
But
one
at the
one
end of the day,
thing, one thing, Boom, too, that's like similar is both of our channels, like it's primarily live content,
yes,
right?
yeah,
It's primarily long form live content. So it's hard to like YouTube's not going to push 3 hour, 2, 3, 4 hour podcast a lot
yeah.
like they do like a 5 minute video. You know what I mean? So like for you to get to 12K in this format is aspiring for me,
Thank
right?
you. Yeah,
So
you're absolutely, a lot of people don't know that. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a fantastic point of view that a lot of people don't know. Shorts are the new thing. Actually did a short this morning. It's 15 seconds. It's basically just introducing you to the Double Barrel Gaming merch. That came the way of Mrs. Boom. She's like, listen, everyone's doing these short things. Boom, you got to get in on this. So I was like, yeah, all right, let me try it. And I did it, and I was like, okay, this is okay. But yeah, shorts are a thing. Videos like that we see from Colt Eastwood and Randall Thor and several other people in the community that are just phenomenally done. Those do get a lot of views. They do get pushed by YouTube. Unfortunately, there isn't a section or a subsection of YouTube that pushes the long content, and it's a little again it's a bit frustrating because when you do a 2 hour show 5 days a week, you would immediately think that, well, we're consistent with the content. People come in. There's very positive numbers. Why don't they push it? And it's just YouTube's algorithm. It's just a computer. So at the end of the day, listen, like Pong says, play what you love what you play. That whole spiel that he does. But I'll say this: we're going to give you a great show. We have 3 amazing topics. We're going to open up with Ghostwire Tokyo because, folks, I didn't get a chance to play it on the PlayStation 5. It wasn't exclusive. It's one of those deals that Microsoft said they were going to honor, and they did. And it was exclusive for a year. It is also launching into PlayStation Plus. It's one of the games announced for this month or the next, for March, which is great. Again, if you are on PlayStation and you didn't buy Ghostwire Tokyo for whatever reason it may be, maybe you didn't have the money, maybe it didn't, tickle your fancy, so to speak. But at least if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, then you can get it in there for the price of a download. And for Xbox gamers, well, we have a lot to get excited about because, well, Ghostwire Tokyo is coming to the service. We have some new information on exactly what is being added to our version of Ghostwire Tokyo. Now, Mav, I got to be honest with you. I think we're going to see something happen special with this game. Okay, and I say that because at the beginning of the year, Xbox and Bethesda, and more importantly, Tango Gameworks, shadow dropped what I consider a front runner for Game of the Year 2023, and that is, of course, Hi-Fi Rush. That was done by a team that a lot of people either didn't know about or care about, for that matter, Mav. And of course, Ghostwire Tokyo is made by Tango Gameworks. And I think that there is, because of the success of Hi-Fi Rush, there might be a renaissance, if you will, for this game. It's getting new life on the Xbox. It's going directly into Xbox Game Pass. So we're all super excited. Again, if it's not your game, you download it, you play it, like, just not for me. Deathloop wasn't for me. I tried it on multiple. I bought it for the PlayStation 5, got a couple hours in. Something else happened that turned my attention somewhere else. I was like, okay, I'm going to play it. I'm going to beat this game. I love this studio. Deathloop looks amazing. The writing is great. And I played it for about 3 hours, and I was like, yeah, I'm just not getting it. I'm just not understanding whatever it is that they're trying to tell me. Delete. And I deleted it. Not every game is for every gamers, folks. I think, Matt, before we get into exactly what's coming to the Xbox version of Ghostwire Tokyo, I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think there is going to be maybe a more striking interest in this game because of something like a Hi-Fi Rush?
I think at least we'll pick it up a little bit. I mean, Game Pass has got around, we would assume, 30 million subscribers now to this point. It could be more. It's going to keep growing this year like crazy, though, with all the games releasing. I think part of it too is by the time that this game hits Game Pass, it's also got a lot of improvements and more content as well. So there's reasons for people to dive in, even if they've already played the game, right? And also there's interesting things that could be optimized more potentially now that it's with Xbox. The ecosystem goes beyond just the consoles as well, because you can play on mobile and you can play on PC, Game Pass, all that kind of stuff too, right? So, as far as how big it's gonna get, I don't know, because it was an IP that had a lot of hype. PlayStation pushed it a lot.
Well, yeah,
I
I mean, yeah, they did
but
have a lot of hype. They had the marketing rights for it. They
yeah,
had it as an exclusive, and that's a big deal.
but I think it had that curse, the anti Xbox curse, because people know that the game, even though it was coming out as an exclusive, was still owned by Xbox, right? At this point, right? So it seemed like I don't want to call media like all media bias, but the review scores and stuff like that didn't really add up to what it
You
seemed like
know,
the sentiment was for the game.
thank you.
You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
sentiment seemed a little bit more positive for it from the people that actually were playing the game, as well as the sales weren't necessarily adding up to the sentiment of the players as well. So now that it's coming home, and that's what I'll call it, like because Ghostwire Tokyo is coming home to Xbox. It maybe we'll all say, "Hey, come on, hey, come home. We're gonna treat you right over here." So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The anytime you have a big game enter a service like this, it does give it a chance to have a second life and to blow up into another realm, I guess. The one thing that I've always felt though that like the different part of thinking of this is that anytime there's like timed exclusives at times, it can also not be as big as it would have been if it was day one, right? Because if this had been a day one Game Pass game, like the hype would be off the charts right now for Ghostwire Tokyo, right? But now it's like it's got some hype, but it's not the lead conversation of everybody, right? Like Ghostwire Tokyo isn't what is everybody is talking about right now. We're all talking about Redfall, Starfield, all that kind of stuff. So going forward, I think Tango's games and everybody else's games without these Sony contracts that they have to uphold is going to actually be better for the games. If Ghostwire had launched day one, I think it would have done better originally as well. So I hope this helps the game, and I hope people play it. I don't expect very many people on PS Plus Extra to play it. Not many people even subscribe to that service anyway. But the Game Pass is going to be a big boost for sure.
Yeah, well, I have PlayStation Plus Premium. I paid for it at the beginning of the year. I figured, you know what, at some point there's going to be something that's going to drop in there day and date, something like a Stray, which, for instance, which is why I upgraded in the first place. And listen, it's fine. I put it to this way, and I've said this before: PlayStation Plus Premium is a phenomenal service. But if you're someone like me who buys all of Sony's first party, the value isn't as prevalent, if you will, only because I have all the games. I mean, listen, they just dropped Horizon Forbidden West. If you haven't played that game, I'm sure that all the bugs are fixed now. Play the game. Game's gorgeous. My brother didn't like the end of the story. I only got maybe about a quarter way through it. Keasante, who's probably in the chat right now, has like 400 plus hours into it. He loved it. So if you didn't play it because you didn't buy it, or for whatever reason you didn't buy it, you can download it now. So the service is good. But getting back to Ghostwire Tokyo, folks, for me, I purposefully did not invest any time into what was being shown because I knew it was coming to Xbox Game Pass. And at the time, there were just too many games to play, like there is right now. I mean, like I'm what am I? 71% done with Hogwarts. I haven't been back to it in 4 days because of this M&F game in front of me. I just can't stop playing Halo. My God, it is so good. It is just crazy. There's few things I'd like to see them do. You know what I'm saying? Like the cross core, making your Spartan, really making your Spartan. Um, I hope that does come to it. And that's about the only complaint I really have is I hate getting an armor piece and you're like, oh, that looks dope. And you go to your like my Tiger Force armor that I'm wearing now, and I'm like, I can't use that piece. It would be perfect. Like for instance, I'm dressed like a tiger, right? And I have like an orange helmet, which is dope. You'll see it in the footage. And there's a chest piece from season 2, and it's got like the teeth. It's a black piece of armor with like the teeth on there, and I'm like, how dope would that look with the Tiger Force outfit? Oh my God, it'd be perfect. So I don't know. It's just the little things. Um, Let me catch up on the super chats. Been quite a few of them. We're going to get into exactly again what is actually launching for the Xbox Series X in regards to ray tracing and VRR support. But let me just get over to the super chats, and because someone said something pretty nice, and I want to read it live on the air because as great as super chats are, and they help more than folks. It's the comments that really that are just amazing. So let me get to some of them. And the first one of the day, folks, comes away of a very good friend of the program. He's been here for a very long time, Leonard Herrera. Leonard, thanks so much for being here. But he drops a $20 super chat. My God, dude, that is very generous of you. He says, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Boom, on 12K subs. All the hard work is much appreciated, and thank you. That's what you love, because we do work hard, and we don't throw it in anyone's face. We do what we do because we love doing it. Mrs. Boom, like I said, I don't know if she's ever going to be on camera. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't promise it. Maybe one day during like a holiday episode she'll pop on, but she does a lot of things behind the scenes. She's definitely my go-to because she has an artistic eye. When I was going back and forth with Ben Kenobi on design, she's like, yeah, I like this, but can we do it this way? What do you think? And she would change a few things. And even Ben Kenobi was like, yeah, she has a good eye. And obviously Sean Labrie, who's been doing a lot of the work for unifying the channel. Mrs. Boom was like right there. And she's like, she talks into my right ear, and like I said, she does a lot of work behind the scenes. And that's why I love her, because, well, she allows me to do this, obviously. And she's incredibly supportive. But listen, thank you so much for that, Leonard. Jerron TJ drops not one, but $2 super chat and says, hello, Boom and panel. Well, hello, Jerron TJ. Good morning and welcome, or now good afternoon. And the second one, he says, Boom, you are the best. Screw the haters, just be you. Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. Listen, it's fine. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to leave it alone after that. If trying to hurt me by getting me out of the 12K bracket makes your day, I say go for it. Go for it. If being mean is making your day and you can do it to me and not someone else, I have broad shoulders, folks. I'm a pretty big guy, 216, 6 feet. I can carry a lot of weight, and I've been called a lot worse when I was in uniform. Focus your anger on me, just not someone else. Don't bully someone else. Try to bully me. It's fine. It's fine. It's. I'd rather you come after me and try and tear me down than you try to tear someone else down. It's fine. I don't mind at all. Gaming Nerd Austria. Brother, thank you so much for being here as always. And he also drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, congrats on 12K. Thank you, brother. He says, well-deserved honor. You deserve everything for it, and great work that you are doing. Keep going. Thank you, brother. That is very kind of you. And Brett Bingham, good friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat and says, PSA, Civ 6 launches today on Xbox Game Pass. I know a lot of people are excited. I know Pong is definitely excited for that. I know that Boxenberger is probably excited for that because I'm not an RTS guy. You know what? I've said this before, folks, and I'm going to say it again. You know what I want them to bring back? Backwards compatibility. Aliens versus Predator RTS. It was on the Xbox. You're laughing, Matt, because you hear me say it all the time. It's my favorite RTS of all time. You get to play all three races. And believe it or not, every race is dope. Like the Marines have like mechs, and it's like a hidden gem that I guarantee a lot of people never played. But
that's one I might not have played. I played a lot of RTS games, Boom, especially on console.
Dude, if you have an OG Xbox somewhere, this game, I have two copies.
It's not on 360. It's on the original Xbox.
It's on the OG Xbox. Yeah, it was on PlayStation 2 and OG Xbox. I got it for the Xbox for obvious reasons. I have two copies. I have a sealed one because I'm an AVP freak. It's like one of my favorite brands outside of like Evil Dead and Resident Evil. And I have one that I played, and it's.
So is it like a tactics game, or
it's literally an RTS. You know, you move your guys around, and the map opens up as you go, and then it's phenomenal. It's so good. Oh my God, it's so good. But listen, I want to shout out Astal on Twitter. They're a big fan of Xbox, and they're constantly putting incredible tweets out there. And they put out he put out a tweet, actually breaking down what is coming to the Xbox Series X version of Ghostwire Tokyo, and it's pretty interesting, Matt. Not only are you getting VRR support, you're getting Play Anywhere support. You're getting Dolby Atmos support. You're getting 4K 60 on 4K and 60 FPS. But the most important thing here, and I think this is pretty cool, is ray tracing. It has been confirmed that ray tracing is in fact coming to Ghostwire Tokyo for the Xbox Series X, and that is pretty dope. I mean, listen, at this point, is it going to be a better version than the PlayStation 5 version? I don't know because I didn't play that version, but I know I can download it if I want.
Parody.
Was that?
Said parody.
Parody. Yeah, that's the big word of the day for.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into what's going on with Jim Ryan and PlayStation once again, thanks to many people on the interwebs this morning. The CMA has published something else. I think it's damning. Honestly, I just think that the CMA put this out there. I think they've tipped their hand, folks. Honestly, in my opinion, we'll get to that story in a second. I think they tipped their hand in regards to what their decision is going to be, because again, I don't want to ruin it. We're gonna get into it. Just out of curiosity, before we move on to one of the bigger topics, what do you think about? What are your thoughts, Mav, on this ray tracing? That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: if they can do great performance with ray tracing, I'm down. Right? Ray tracing for me is more dependent on the game and the way it's delivered as opposed to just the word ray tracing is used a lot. So for me in the game, I got to experience it. But if it's a quality mode with ray tracing versus a performance mode, I ain't touching it. Right? I'll play 4K 60 or I'll play whatever the best performance mode is. You know what I mean? So I'll usually switch to ray tracing just to get some like, oh, cool. Look at how pretty this is in this puddle right now when I'm not moving the screen or doing anything. But you know what? When I move, I want that smoothness and I want that really fast frame rate. So I'll turn it off. Now, if this is 4K 60 with ray tracing, then that's great. You know what I mean? Then that's amazing. But we'll have to wait and see on that. It's good that the games are offering options though, because with this saying ray tracing, I'm sure that means that there's some options with the visual modes in the game as well. So that's pretty promising. It's something we've missed out on a lot. The other aspect of this is knowing that this is a first party game now for Xbox and everything. This goes with Redfall. This goes for Starfield. It goes for all these games. Is we're probably not going to see that whole thing going on where it seems like some PlayStation games perform better than Xbox games, right? Like if it's a game that is on Xbox, you can imagine that it's going to be optimized for the console hardware to to the extreme, right? So I'm really excited to dive into this and see how well it plays. I think it'll probably be a better experience than PlayStation 5 users got when they played it day one. So, but the other modes, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Like it's like a roguelite mode they said in there as well, and like some added content with the whole spider thing. So it's intriguing. It's not one that I would be as been normally like super hyped about just because it's not necessarily my style of game. But it's in Game Pass, and maybe it'll click. You never know.
I
Ray
agree.
tracing, is it like an end all be all for you, Boom? I mean,
Look, I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I know people get really hung up with the whole ray tracing thing. People get hung up with, how dare you present to me a 30 FPS game? I look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe it's because I'm an old school cat that had to deal with sticks and dots as graphics back in
yeah,
the days. I honestly I don't care. I'm not a snob, if you will, when it comes to that. If I'm playing a game and I'm lost in said game, 30 frames. Like for instance, one of my favorite games last year. It wasn't my game of the year, but one of my top 10 games of 2022 was Gotham Knights. And a lot of people were like, I can't believe it. That game ran in like mustard. It was so slow, or
Yeah.
or mayonnaise. But it's fine. It's I mean, again, I quite enjoyed the game. A lot of people didn't. Okay, that's fine. But ray tracing, if it's there, it's going to make the game look amazing. If the performance is not hurt by ray tracing, which I don't know how that would work because I'm not really a tech guy, if you will. Could you do 4K 60 with ray tracing? Shit, I don't know. It sounds like you need a monster rig in order to do that. And in
Right.
fact, okay, fine. I'll say this: I didn't play the game. I like I said, I spent very little investment time on learning about the game because I didn't want to have it spoiled for me. So it's going to be a new experience for me. I'm going to be very excited to play this. Um, I just don't know when I'm going to have the time. It's just literally ridiculous. It's too
Yeah.
many games. I mean, I downloaded it. I played the hell out of both demos for Wu Long, but I haven't put any time into it because that's another one. I was like, I want to really beat. Um, I have to beat Dead Space. I'm literally at the last boss in Hi-Fi Rush. I have to beat Hogwarts because Hogwarts is probably it's my game of the year currently. And now Halo comes out, and instead of it sucking, it's freaking so good. Oh my god, I can't stop playing it.
Right.
So I don't know.
It,
Ghostwire Tokyo, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna give it the old college effort. I just don't know how much of I'm gonna play of it.
yeah, and like you were talking about other with these strategy games and stuff, with that super chat, like Civ 6 hitting, strategy game. You have other games that keep hitting Game Pass just randomly, like City Skylines, and then more games just got announced, like that Lamplighters League and City Skylines 2 is coming out this year. And then Anno 1800 right now is a city builder that's you can play for free for a week. It just came out. That's
Okay.
usually been a PC only experience before. So there's all these different things that I want to try. I do think the date of the 12th of April is kind of a good time though, because it's like a week lead up to the Minecraft Legends.
Yeah, another big
And
one. Jesus
right. So,
Christmas.
and you're kind of hitting that cadence where you have a Ghostwire Tokyo, then you have Minecraft Legends, then you have in May 2nd, which is only a few weeks later, you have Redfall, right?
Which, by
And
the way,
then
the story trailer dropped today, and I don't know, but we're not going to talk about it today. We're going to specifically really dive deep into it for tomorrow's um, breakfast at Boom at 10 a.m. I watched the trailer twice. My God, that game looks phenomenal. I
yeah,
mean, wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does. The story trailer is amazing. Uh Redfall, I think the hype is building, right? All those creators that went out last week to the Redfall event, I think
Yeah, I'm
tomorrow.
sorry I missed that because I didn't know. I knew about the LA one. I did not know about the New York one. And listen, I'm a small content creator. Microsoft doesn't invite me to. They have invited me to several things, which is dope. I just didn't get the invite for this, and that's fine. I mean, it's perfectly fine. I get it. There's a lot of content creators in the world, and we literally just hit 12K, but I would have loved. I know Cognito, and obviously Cognito. Matty Plays was there. We know that Colt Eastwood went to the one in L.A. Shout out to them. I mean, that's amazing to get to that. But yeah, it looks really good, Mav. It looks phenomenal. But what I want to do is I want to catch. First of all, we got a new channel member, which is pretty cool. Gaming Nerd Austria. Brother, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. That is very, very kind of you. We also had a super chat pop in here. Let me see if I'm up to date with that because I don't like missing any of them because when I do, I get I disappoint myself. Um, Drawn TJ drops an additional $2 super chat. Says, I want a remake of Dune 2000 made by Westwood. I don't remember that. Wow. Okay. I don't remember that, dude. That is crazy. I have to look that up now. I'm not the biggest Dune fan per se, but I would definitely look it up. Jason Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I work in M&A and legally speaking," and obviously that's mergers and acquisitions. If you want to know, the CMA got tossed around by Microsoft. Also, Microsoft is setting itself up to challenge them. Yeah, I look, I mean, Brad Smith said that any negative verdicts they're going to challenge in court. We did hear, and if you missed it, you should definitely check it out. Dustin Legary interviewed Michael Pachter last week. Michael Pachter, again, your mileage may vary, but he still works for Wedbush. Um, he's still employed by them. He obviously, people go to him because he's a money guy. He had some very interesting thoughts and theories, some of which I agreed, some of which I didn't know, because I would like to hear someone like a whole law break it down for me, because I really do like Hogue. Um, and he said something about the fact where they could leave Call of Duty as is in that region while they're suing to the CMA if something like the EU Commission, which is expected to pass it, along with several others, and then of course the FTC is going to get laughed out of court. I don't even think it gets federal court. I think that the judge that's overseeing it right now, we're going to get into that literally right now,
Yeah.
is so aggravated with what Lena Khan, who is the chairperson of the FTC, has done up until this point, where they literally have gone and they're putting this judge in front of this monster case with no case. And that is why we're seeing something like the judge get pretty pissed off at Sony for not delivering the documents on time, using the excuse that they're in Japanese, which is the most ridiculous. That's like a where's your homework, little Johnny? My dog ate it. That's what it sounds like. It's just dumb. Like who says that? You're a billion-dollar company. What do you mean you can't get the paperwork translated? It's ridiculous. And now, thanks to their arrogance or their stupidity or both, Sony now has to produce documents that go all the way back to January 1st of 2019 to present. And now, hopefully, we as the people are going to get a chance to see some of what goes on behind the closed doors, which Sony doesn't want you to see. Once that becomes public record, there's going to be, of course, tremendous amounts of things redacted, because some things you can't put out into the public, numbers and certain things. But for the most part, it is going to be public documents. And if it's public documents, that means we're going to get a chance to see it. But I do want to move on, Mav, as we close on 450 people here. A couple of things before we move on to the next topic, more like house cleaning. We launched our merch. I'm going to play you the quick commercial for you right now, and so you guys can check it out. This was made by the absolutely astounding Sean Labrie. He delivered it last night. I can't believe how quickly he got it done. Check it out, folks. Tell me what you think. There you go, folks. That is the 32-second commercial for our merch line that we just launched. If you go to the website, which is Teespring, who we teamed up with, and you order something, type in the code BoomStick in all caps. You save 15% off your entire order, and that is live. That has been live since Saturday. We've sold a significant amount of items so far, which is incredibly humbling, because you just never know. We spent a lot of money getting these designs done. The designs come the way of the Richter, Ben Kenobi, and of course Sean Labrie. And you got to spend money to make money. My pop always said, and hopefully you like the designs. If there's a specific item that you don't see there that you would like us to add to the line, DM me or email me or just message me here. And we have other designs that are currently in production that we're going to be testing and looking at in the next couple of weeks. And we're probably going to close out with about a total of 10 different designs. But thank you for everyone's interest. But look, Matt, we got to get into the FTC. The FTC is a joke. I'm an American citizen. I pay taxes, and I pay every year. Every year we pay. And we have learned, Mav, something unbelievable. That Lena Khan has wasted so much money in the FTC that they literally have just requested from the United States government $600 million in order to be able to do investigations into one of the bigger situations in this country, and that is the people's electric bills. They are 4 times higher than they've ever been. There's been some suggestion by many people, many people, United States citizens, that were being gouged by these electric companies, and we have learned that unfortunately, due to the FTC spending all their money to fight Meta, spending all their money to fight Amazon from acquiring MGM, which they lost that as well, and now spending all this money to have to fight this frivolous fight of Microsoft potentially getting control of Activision Blizzard King. They have no money to set forth these investigations. And why we're talking about this, because it does segue into what the conversation is really about. And that is, of course, Mav, that the FTC is now doubling down on accusing Microsoft of wrongdoing when it comes to Bethesda's content. And that comes the way of just yesterday. They are now talking about they want documents because they said, and I quote, they misled regulators and they lied to consumers that the content was not going to be withheld, I should say, from PlayStation, and Starfield, like one of the biggest games to release from Bethesda in 25 years, is not going to be available on a PlayStation, which is, well, that's just too bad. Buy an Xbox, get a smart TV with the app, play on your handheld Steam Deck, wherever you want to play. You're just not playing on a PlayStation. You know what? It's okay for Microsoft to have exclusives. I mean, it seems like Sony can have all the exclusives they want, Mav, but Microsoft, no, don't do that. And why this is frivolous, why it's ridiculous at best. I mean, literally at best, it's ridiculous, is because there's both the CMA and the EU Commission have said there were no wrongdoings in getting Bethesda. Now, I mean, I don't know if call me crazy. We literally just talked about Ghostwire Tokyo. Wasn't that contract honored? Wasn't it exclusive to PlayStation for an entire year? Isn't it available right now in their service? Oh, what about Deathloop? Deathloop, game of the year when it was on PlayStation, right? Came to Xbox a year later, and on the day it launched into Game Pass, guess what, Mav? It was in their service as well. So it seems like Microsoft did, in fact, honor their deals. And now the FTC, again, it seems like they're grasping at straws to try and be right when they know that they're 1,000% wrong. Let's talk about it, bro.
Yeah, they're just trying to look for any kind of thing they could possibly make up because they have no case. So anything the FTC says at this point doesn't matter. They're going to lose in court, right? If the FTC keeps doubling down on this and they actually want to take it to court and lose again, that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to take it to court and they're going to lose. Microsoft's already said that they're going to close the deal regardless if the FTC approves it by the deadline or not, right? Because they don't want to renegotiate with ABK for that deadline to be extended. So they said pretty much after CMA and the EC approve, they'll propose the same concessions and remedies towards the FTC. If the FTC doesn't like those, then guess what? They're going to go ahead and close, and then the FTC can take them to federal, and that's what's going to happen. So anything the FTC says right now is just baloney. Like made up stuff, just trying to figure out any way that they can grasp at straws to try and throw some shade towards Microsoft right now. Um, Maybe to try and sway the CMA or public opinion against Microsoft. But if all you got to do is, like you said, look at the facts, right? I don't recall any time ever that Microsoft promised that a game called Starfield was going to be on PlayStation, right? They said they were going to uphold their agreements. They said that they were going to continue to release games on those platforms on a game by game basis. And that's exactly what they're doing. They said the ongoing games are going to stay there. We've since seen games like um, Skyrim Anniversary get the update that also was offered there as well, right?
It's right. It's actually one of the games that they put in there this month for them.
Yeah. Do you have even the non-Bethesda games go over to Sony occasionally? You know, Minecraft Legends will be launching there as well. It's just a stupid argument that they already got. It's like they ignored when the EC, I don't remember if it was the EC or the CMA that originally called them out, but originally what the FTC did is they said that they've even broken promises to the EC or the CMA or whatever, like,
It was the EU Commission that
that right.
they put out there, and the EU Commission was like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
hold the
they're like, "No,
phone."
we didn't say," they didn't say that, you know, they just said that, you know, they would anyway, like, it was interesting seeing a regulator at the time call out another regulator for pretty much a false statement, right? And now they're doubling down on that, it seems. Promises, what promises? You know, I would like for them to actually come out and show the promises that they said. Also, they're saying stuff like, "Well, Microsoft is being slow about getting us these documents or whatever that we're asking." They've given you like 2 million documents, okay? 2 million documents. It was pulling teeth to get Sony to give anything at all, relegating their business. Microsoft provides you with 2 million documents with pretty much the whole plan, everything. A lot of this stuff has been out there, like a lot of things that we've seen. Everything that they're saying they're gonna do, everything that they plan to do, it's all there. They're just saying this stuff in blatant ignorance to try and make it seem like they have somewhat of a case against Microsoft. I feel sorry for whatever lawyer is actually asked to take this all the way to the distance because it's not gonna be a good career moment for them,
No,
right?
I think they've lost before they even got out of the gate. You know, shout out to Michelle Alexandria. She just put something in the chat that was pretty interesting. I read this morning, and it's an interesting factoid. Not specifically with gaming, but what is the FTC doing is the question. She writes
Wasting our
T-Mobile.
money.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, there's no doubt they're wasting the money. But T-Mobile, it was announced this morning, folks, that T-Mobile just bought Mint Mobile, which of course is owned by, or used to be owned by, Ryan Reynolds, of Deadpool fame. Um, and why that's interesting, folks, is I think 2 years ago, maybe not even 2 years ago, my wife and I have always been with Sprint. I like Sprint. And Sprint was purchased by T-Mobile. And guess what? They just bought another mobile company in Mint Mobile, which Mint was supposed to be pretty good. It's funny. I was going to switch. My bill is cheap, so I'm not worried about that. So I was like, yeah, we'll stay where we are. And it turns out that T-Mobile now owns Mint Mobile. And, well, just 2 years ago, they bought Sprint, which is one of the biggest providers in the world. And no kickback, no fights, no nothing from the FTC. No, hey, we got to look into this. Again, it just makes you wonder what motivates Lena Khan when it comes to picking her battles. And obviously she has not been very successful in the battles that she's already picked. This is very evident of the complete loss after loss after loss, and she just lost to Meta. They had to do this. Yeah, we're just not even going to bother. I have a strong suspicion that when the judge finally gets all of Sony's documents from 2019 moving forward, and they see how anti-competitive they have been in the marketplace, specifically with Call of Duty. See, and I think really that's the kicker. Um, we have heard, and you were there for it, Mav. Sony has accused Microsoft of potentially making their version of Call of Duty worse so people leave PlayStation. Now, I said this on other podcasts and I'll say it here. That's like a 5-year-old. That's like a 5-year-old answer about why Batman is better than Spider-Man. Are you serious? But what we've heard from many content creators since that statement was made is Sony is concerned that what they have been doing to the marketplace as a whole is going to be done to them. And Microsoft was like, listen, we offered parity, right? Meaning that the game is going to be the game. Phil Spencer has already said, Mav, we're not going to do a PlayStation and whole content. We're not going to have special edition, whatever. You can only get it here. It's going to be content available here, there, and everywhere. And I'm okay with that. Who cares if your brown hat could be used for you and someone on PlayStation? I don't give a shit. You shouldn't either. Who cares about a weapon skin? Oh, the tiger skin. That should be held back from PlayStation. Really? Who cares? Are you paying for it? Are you getting it in Game Pass? Yep, thumbs up. Right? I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this. I think that the again, I say it's frivolous, but in the bigger scheme of things, it is a waste of millions and millions of taxpayer dollars for a fight that they've rushed to. We've heard this from numerous analysts. They did not do their due diligence to have a proper case against Microsoft. They wanted to be the first one to challenge it, and they literally threw this together. It's probably they threw it together on a train ride in, like just writing on the back of a napkin. Look, we're going to sue Microsoft. We got to stop this, and that's why it's ridiculous. And listen, I take no pleasure in saying that Lena Khan is not qualified to run the FTC because she's not. Has nothing to do with her being a woman or anything of the other than the nature of she has failed as a leader. Listen, you don't believe me? Well, ask the Republicans why there's no representation on the Republican side, because they both quit. They both resigned from the position. And we learned before the lawsuit was announced that the FTC was dragging their heels to get another representative from the Republican Party. And now there's no one in there. Does anyone kind of think that there's something going on over there? I'm just saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. Anything you'd like to add to this,
Yeah, there
Matt?
was also a lot of reports about the actual, like, people unhappy, like, the internal review or whatever from all the employees about their, like,
Yes.
yearly take on the
Oh, we had the
ongoings of the
stats, dude. We have
business.
three. We had three
Yeah.
years of stats from the woman that stepped down, the last Republican, and she put it out there. She goes, "I'm just putting this out there so you can see the reviews, the internal reviews." And every year in every category, it dropped double-digit percentages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's internal turmoil within the FTC. They're wasting money.
Mhm.
They are didn't want to go again. One of the reasons they've lost so much money and that they're so shorthanded is the meta within case, right? That
Yep.
the other regulators didn't want to actually take it that far because they didn't think they had a case. But Lena overruled them, right? And it ended up going anyway. Now wasting lots of money and which they lost, and now they're asking for more to actually do the work that they should be doing instead of stuff like they're trying to do with Microsoft and ABK now, which they will also continue to lose lots of money. It's just the sad thing is like when it becomes so blatantly obvious, right, to the general public about there's no case here, there's nothing here to do, but you're just still bullish about it, but and you're using the arguments of a market leader against an acquisition of another company. Like that it kind of goes against everything that it's supposed to be about. And when they're using all these parodying of Sony and all of these words constantly, and we even seen, well, I don't know if they actually hold any weight to Sony's ridiculous claim about implementing bugs, but I think Sony put that in there because of language used before from regulators, right? Um, it's just blatant ignorance about the industry. Sony's using that to their advantage, and they're just looking like idiots as they're putting this stuff out there to the public, right? So the bug thing individually was one of the most ridiculous things I've seen before. Um, eh, Bugs in every video game, right? You can look at Destiny 2 Lightfall on Xbox right now. There's patch notes for it, right? Because of bugs. Is it intentional? Did Sony betray Xbox fans and try and sabotage the game by putting bugs in the Xbox version of the game? No. It just happens, right? Will Microsoft's first party games be prioritized and developed first over PlayStation games? Yes. And that's a good thing because guess what happens in 80% of the games out there? They're all made for PlayStation and then ported over to Xbox. And that's one of the reasons you get lower performance on a more powerful console, right? On a lot of these third party games, right? Just because a lot of the industry makes their games first for PlayStation. And then in the development phase, before the game comes out, they're like, we're prioritizing PlayStation. That's our lead platform development. Now we're going to get to the Xbox when the game comes out. It has lower performance. A few weeks later, a couple months later, it gets an update, a patch, and then the Xbox performance usually it succeeds the PS5 performance. You've seen this time and time and time again. What's going to happen with these Xbox games is like Call of Duty and everything. They're going to take advantage of the power of the box, right? That's not Xbox's fault if your box isn't as capable as an Xbox, right? Hence why now maybe they're getting the PS5 Pro. Will there be parity? Probably, but it'll be against that PS5 Pro, not the Series X, right? I don't see all these claims holding any water about bugs, parity, all this kind of stuff. Just like stop throwing
I have a
crap
great
into the
question.
argument. It's
I
just
have a great question
ridiculous.
for the chat. I have a great question for you. Now, this comes the way of Daniel Jackson in the chat. Daniel says Sony bought Anime Lab, an Australian anime streaming service, a few years back, and nearly instantly closed it, leaving us minimal choice other than Crunchyroll or Funimation, which Sony owns both. That is the quote of the day because I just pulled it up, and there were numerous articles written. Variety wrote one. Someone from Rest of World, I'd never heard of them. Kotaku, Polygon, Cartoon Brew. Twitter was a big one. Sony Pictures Entertainment announces that they have acquired Funimation. They also own Crunchyroll. So this was a big deal. I have a question for the chat. I have a question for you, Mav. Well, because you are our special guest. Where the F was the FTC to shut down Sony having literally nearly 100% of the anime market for Sony Pictures?
Oh, they didn't care.
I'm just saying.
Right, I mean,
Here's another question. How come both of these services are not a part of PlayStation Plus Premium? Another great question for consumers because that would be great. I don't watch as much anime as I used to back in the days with my brother Neo Mental, but it would be pretty cool if it was a part of a $18 a month service. So again, just bring this right back to the FTC. We have to say that the failings of Chairperson Lena Khan are out there in the open for everyone to see. We just found out this morning that one of the biggest mobile publishers in phones, T-Mobile, bought Mint Mobile, which was gaining ground. That was owned by Ryan Reynolds of Deadpool. No questions, no fights. keeping it with Sony, we want to keep it into video games because that's what everyone's here is for. We got 550 people in the chat, so thank you so much for that. Where was the concern that Sony Pictures, who own the rights for Spider-Man, one of the biggest characters on the effing planet, right, now has full control of the anime market? Where is it? I don't know. I mean, let's segue into that for a hot second. Where was the concern that Sony was going to raise prices or hold content if you didn't play ball with them? Any concern from the FTC there, Mav?
No, I don't know enough about, the whole anime business, right? It was Crunchyroll that they acquired, right? Last.
Yes.
And which one did they already own? Was it
Funimation.
Funimation? So those are the two main subscription services that were dedicated to anime, correct?
Yes.
That I knew of before, but I think there's still like other like Prime has some on Amazon, Netflix has anime, so other things as well. But those were the two like big dedicated anime channels. So it was interesting that they did get away with that. I don't know how big of an acquisition that was. Like with dollars spent wise, was it
I
to
could
the
find out.
level?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
It's really interesting. Here's the thing: not everything gets looked at with the same glasses, right? Like when Microsoft announced they were going to be acquiring Activision Blizzard for $70 billion, we knew this was going to get scrutinized,
The
right?
Crunchyroll deal was $1.175 billion.
Yeah, that should have been scrutinized a little bit.
100%.
But
Anything over 300 million is scrutinized
yeah,
by law, by FTC law. Anything over 300 million, and it might be lower, it
yeah.
has a regulatory review.
That Bungie acquisition went through really fast too, didn't
It
it?
went through so quick that I laced up one of my shoes, and the deal was done. Let's
What
be real.
But what about Destiny? Are they going to pull it away from Xbox in the future? Are they going to have content parity? Are they going to put bugs in Destiny over time? I mean, all this stuff's nonsense, right? Like, it's just crying points to try and make a case. As far as like Sony and the Crunchyroll and all that stuff, I don't know how much that affects the options out there. Personally, just because I'm not a big like anime guy, right? But if it does, then that sucks. I know that Sony has seemingly, for some whatever reason, gotten by, and I think it could be maybe the dollar amounts or whatever. But you got to remember, like, I don't see any reason Microsoft would have challenged that, right? I think the only reason that these regulators have had somewhat legs to stand on is because they're just parroting Sony. Sony's been the only challenger in this whole thing, really. I mean, they had Google, but you don't want Google on your side. That's just like you, you're asking. It's like going to a trial, right? And your lawyer that you have representing you, it just got out of jail for a felony, right? You don't want that. You know what I mean? Like Google is not your best partner when you're trying to challenge something. And even all the regulators laughed off Google's claims. So now the only real market representative that's a challenge to this whole thing is Sony. And that's what the regulators are grasping at. Now, when there's a $70 billion deal, the biggest in Microsoft's history, big tech and all that kind of stuff, it was going to be scrutinized. The thing is, I still think it's going through. I think that Sony's claims are going to be futile. I think their challenges are going to be worthless. I think it's actually going to hurt Sony more in the long run because of everything that they're doing than it would have been otherwise. So at this point, I'm okay with Sony looking like a moron, keep doing this because they're just shooting themselves in the foot, right? They have a chance to do right by their consumers and do right by everybody, to let this deal go through and stop challenging it the way that they are, concede to getting these 10-year licensing deal for Call of Duty, um, because they're probably going to get better terms than whatever is forced upon them by whatever is forced upon Microsoft by the CMA after all these other regulatory bodies approve it. And after all these other licensing deals keep getting signed, every day there's a new 10-year licensing deal with a different cloud company or different partner, right? So Sony's going to be the last one in the industry saying, "We didn't sign because we don't like this." And the CMA is going to say, "Well, we approve it based on everybody else's remedies and concessions in their 10-year licensing deals. So you're going to be having to accept those same deals, right?" Sony right now could have had a potential to have gotten a better deal if they wanted to, potentially than anybody else, because they've been the challenger. But if they wait till it looks like the CMA is going to approve, they've lost all leverage. They've lost all leverage at that point. And we've already seen now Brad Smith says there's no ongoing discussions with Sony
Yeah, he
regarding the
confirmed that
license.
yesterday. That right now,
So
as of today, or as of actually yesterday, great point, Mav. They are not talking to Sony at all. Like Sony wants no part of it. And obviously, we knew that thanks to Lulu Chang, of course, of Activision Blizzard, who put out there a couple of weeks ago, which set the internet on fire, and she had to defend herself again yesterday against some of the media conglomerates that are pro Sony, that there was no gentleman's agreement to Jim Ryan saying we don't want a new Call of Duty deal, we just want to block your merger. And I think that is very damning. I said this before on Prime Time a couple of weeks ago. If you are a regulator for the CMA or the EU Commission or even the FTC at this point, which the FTC is just a complete joke. You have to look at your your panel members and be like, did he actually really say that? Because I first said, even if I knew you, and you said, "Boom, you're not going to believe this." Jim Ryan said this. I'm like, wow, my God, I don't know. I mean, sure, but really? And yeah, it was confirmed that he did say that. So who says things like that, ladies and gentlemen? Market leaders do. Market leaders who are not afraid to buck the standard because, well, who is gonna challenge us? We're the market leader. And again, it's you brought up a great point that I want to elaborate on, specifically focusing on the FTC and the clown show that is. Um, they actually used some of Sony's talking points in their documentation, taking Sony's word for it. And it's going to look pretty damn embarrassing for anyone that is trying to represent the FTC and fight this case if you took Sony on their word and now we have legitimate Sony contracts that have a ton of anti-Xbox wordage in it, meaning they're holding content back. Parity isn't a situation. Games run potentially worse. We saw that happen with Callisto Protocol, right? Callisto
yeah.
Protocol from jump ran worse on the more powerful console. Why was that, Mav? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because Sony sent 50 of their developers from first party to help finish the game.
Yeah, even Atomic Heart ran better on PlayStation right away, and it had marketing with Xbox and the Game
Isn't
Pass
that
deal,
crazy?
you know?
Yeah,
It just depends. I mean, I get that aspect. People are gonna make games usually for the platform, the most popular platform, right? And I understand priorities within game development. However, for me, it's like still don't release the games until you have good optimization across all. Um, but I feel like using those claims to your advantage is so disingenuous.
I agree. Yeah,
It's two-faced. It is what it is. They're making their case because they have been trying to d to do have this do as little damage to them as possible, right? But at some point along the line here, when at first when it was like, yeah, they're gonna challenge because, they're trying to protect their business. I get it. I get it. I get it. But at some point along the line with this whole process, I think it crossed the point to where the losing Call of Duty marketing rights and and ABK being owned by Microsoft was less damaging to Sony than they are being to themselves right now,
I agree.
right?
Yeah.
That Sony is being more damaging to themselves right now
Yep.
than if the ABK deal it just goes through and they get their 10-year licensing deal and all that kind of stuff. And mainly because of a couple of things. Um, the relationship with ABK has been tarnished,
It's
right?
scorched
So
earth at this point, brother.
that's a
Yeah.
loss no matter what now,
Yep.
right? So you've already lost the only thing that really you've been fighting for, right? And maybe they're hoping one day we can salvage this, one day. But the only thing they were really fighting for was the marketing rights and all that kind of stuff. And they have no control, regardless, also of lead platform development or any of that kind of stuff. Also, if ABK decides to take full advantage of the power of the Xbox Series X and make that the lead development platform, they have the power to do so, and they can do that. Microsoft can sign any deals in the future with marketing rights or anything like that, like they used to back in the day with ABK as well. So Sony has already lost the only thing, in my opinion, that they've been fighting for with this whole deal. So at this point, they have nothing left to gain other than to try and stick it to Microsoft and take this all the way. But that's a bad look for you if you're looking like you only just want somebody else to fail so that way you can stay strong. So that way you can stay on top. If that's your goal, that's anti-competition.
Hello.
And
Yeah.
what is being put out there to the regulators is let us stay number 1. Let us stay on top because we don't trust Microsoft. And you can't have that approach when you're also being requested for your own documents that are going to give the blueprint of everything that you are saying that you're afraid of Microsoft doing. It's going to give the blueprints on how you use all of those tools to get into your number 1 position. And not only that, now you're also using that position to influence the industry, contracts, keep things off of other platforms, exclusivity deals out the wazoo. They're doing more harm to good, not only to themselves, but the entire industry for other people that may want to buy another company. This precedent could be set based on the challenges from Sony, and they may not like the repercussions of that themselves in the future. So I don't understand at this point when they've taken it this far with getting those documents now are going to be having to be part of the FTC hearings with everything that these silly arguments they keep making to try and raise these claims. It's coming off as one greedy. It's coming off as desperate. It's coming off as weak, and they're gonna lose it, in my opinion, in the long run. And it's done more damage than good for them trying to fight this as long as they have.
Again, what I'm about to say is unlikely, but it's possible. In closing, what may happen to Sony is ultimately a class action lawsuit for anti competitive behavior by the FTC once these documents come out. Like these documents might reveal such heinous practices that the FTC is going to be forced because they put themselves in front of the dartboard, and Sony then put themselves in front of the other, that they're going to have to take action just based on what's in front of them to save face. You took Sony as word as gospel, and we're going to learn very soon, Mav, that they. I mean, we listen. We have 550 people here. Even if you're pro Sony, even if Sony is your brand of brands, that's cool. You're welcome here anytime. But you will have to wholeheartedly admit that Sony has done, and again, it's business. No one's saying that it's not business, but it's business that they are claiming Microsoft is going to do if they get a hold of Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard King, when they have done it, not just this year, not just this generation, for decades, Mav. Look, at the end of the day, it is going to be very interesting in the coming weeks to see what happens. I think the FTC case is a complete joke. It's a clown show over there at this point. And as a tax-paying American citizen, I'm literally disgusted that it's been out there, put out there by numerous news sources, not gaming channels, but news sources, that the FTC does not have enough money to go after the electric companies for gouging its consumers, but yet they have spent potentially billions or hundreds of millions trying to fight Amazon from MGM and Meta from what they were trying to acquire, and now ABK. It is change in leadership. Unfortunately, needs to happen forthwith, and when that change happens, I'm not saying it should go one way or the other. Uh, I'm all for the ideology that is pure that Lena Khan started with, and that is to protect consumers from corporations that will abuse us. In its pure format, I'm all for that ideology because at the end of the day, Microsoft, SIE, Nintendo, and every other company you want to put in there, they're for themselves. They're for their investors. They're there to make money. Yes, some companies do it better, i.e., Microsoft. They do it better when it comes to their consumers. That's a fact. But in its pure format, her ideology is something that I will stand shoulder to shoulder with her on because I want to be protected as a consumer. What she is doing now and what she has demonstrated as chairperson of the FTC is unacceptable behavior. It is now self-righteous. It is now it's her way or the highway. It's her ideology or you're out. And that's not the way government's supposed to work. And she has too much power for her position. And well, I'm going to close out the show with that. Let me just catch up on the super chats, Mav. Then we're going to see if we can get you live on the air because there's still 546 people here. The 23 or 27 subs you need. Oh, by the way, Double Barrel Gaming at 12K once again. Thank you, whoever subscribed to get us back to 12K. I certainly appreciate it. We have Jonas the Dad. Hey, Jonas, brother, thank you so much for being here. And he says this. Let me just load it up so I can read it verbatim. He drops a $5 super chat and says, PlayStation Japanese boards love us. Media getting docs of private corpo details. Not sure how something boy survives this. I guess maybe I meant to say Jimmy Boy survives this. Hit that like button. I think he's going to get a raise, if you want my honest opinion, because he's doing what he's supposed to do as the leader and president of PlayStation. He is doing his damnedest, his best dance moves possible. He's using the connections he has, specifically in the CMA. Obviously, he has connections in the EU as well, but ultimately, connections are not. The law is the law, and the truth is the truth. And they have an 80% market share, which is considered by legal definition monopoly. Anything over 70% monopoly, they have 80. I'm just saying. So thank you for that, brother. We also have Scraps DRJ88. He drops very generous $5 super chat. Says, I personally can't wait until the release of Replaced this year, an Xbox exclusive. So many games. I'm very excited for Replaced. I get a lot of, and again, this is because I'm old, folks. I don't know if you remember this game. There's a game back in the days called Flashback. And I get a ton of flashback vibes from Replaced. I'm incredibly looking forward to that. JTKOO dropped a very generous $5 super chat and says, very good points made here so far. You two are both saying what I've been thinking about the damage Sony is doing to themselves and their customers. I have a strong suspicion that it's not just themselves and, well, it is themselves and their consumers. I think that their relationships, even as market leader, is going to be hurt. That scorched earth mentality, that what they have done for the industry, folks, is take the spotlight that was off to the side, and they would only look when something like this came up. Now, regulators in the CMA, the FTC, and the EU are going to be looking at every gaming deal with the spotlight. Sony did that. Sony took the spotlight, put it right on the industry. I think that they have lost a lot of friends in the industry over this, and it's ridiculous. But Mav, let's get to you, brother. Fun speculation, an amazing show with absolutely astounding podcast weekly one of which is one of my favorite, PM and the PM. That's you and Pong, Soul. Talk about that. And more importantly, where can people help you get past 3K while we're still here?
Yeah, we got 25 to go. Boom, we're at 29.75. Maybe we'll hit 3K with a little push. If not, maybe we'll do it tonight on PM and the PM. Because tonight we do have a show over on Fun Speculation. Pong Soul and I is a two-man show. We go live at 7 p.m. Eastern time every Thursday, and we're gonna. It's been some extra long shows lately. I don't know if we'll go as far as going 3 or 4 hours like we did the last couple weeks, but we have a blast. We go deep diving on a lot of this stuff, and if you like some of the topics that Boom has, you'll probably hear some of this same kind of stuff because we like talking ABK, right? Some people are sick of it. Not Pong and I. We absolutely love talking ABK because when else do you get this craziness going on that we've had the last year and a half, right? Um, Besides that, we also have another show Friday nights called Xbox Ultimate Podcast. That's the show that started it all for our channel. And we go left, we go right, we go sideways, we go all over the place on that show. It's a fun time with the large panel. And then Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern time as well on Fun Speculation Podcast with the great panel. And we just have fun, kind of like Boom has multiple podcasts. We have multiple podcasts over on Fun Speculation. And our very own Buzzy Belvedere has now called us Fun Speculation Network. So that's pretty much
I
what
love
we've
it.
become, is the Fun
Yes.
Speculation Network over on the channel. So come check it out if you like the content. Sub to it, and I hope to see you there in the chats.
Yes, and real quick, folks, because I'm trying to sell merch, I got one of the shirts. That's right, I got the Hydra Boom, the bad guy Boom version of that was made for us for the channel. The Richter actually did that. He did it in original Captain America colors, and if you look at the design, there's besides having a B for Boom on the mask, the top part has the slit for the mohawk, which is genius. Just genius. So yes, I'm wearing the Hydra version. I could never be a bad guy. I could never hail Hydra. I just can't. I just can't. Even in games, I can't be the bad guy. It's ridiculous. But listen, I want to say a big thank you and a fact that Mrs. BoomStick and I love everyone here. We really appreciate the incredible support, and we're always going to be who we are. We're always going to push the word of good. We're never going to convert to negativity for clicks and likes and growth. We would rather just quit the business altogether if we had to convert that way. So what you see is what you're going to get. And again, thank you, Mag, for joining us for 70 minutes. This has been your new episode of X Vlog Live. Please, if you haven't already, hit the like button, and more importantly, sub the channel if you like what we're putting down. And of course, big shout out to all the super chats that come in. Again, I say it all the time, and I'm going to say it again. They help more than you know, especially when it comes to doing things. Mrs. Boom and I have spent a significant amount of money, on art design, not only for the merch store, but for what you see in front of you. All of the channel has been redesigned by Sean Labrie. His work is genius, at least, and at best, probably the best I've ever seen. And he has done everything from intros and outros to overlays. And he actually even redid, because the new logo Ben Kenobi did, which is amazing. And it's based on Starfield colors, which is dope. So Sean Labrie made a V2, a version 2 of it from his artistic point of view. And now both of them are up in there, and we're using them both. But big shout out to everyone that continues to help the channel financially with the super chats, as well as the channel memberships. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. That's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.